I'm going to take a second to talk to you about underdogs.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird game nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today we're going to unpack some things. Obviously, Jordan Howard got called up. There's some other things going on with the Eagles. We're going to have to figure out what's going on with this running back situation. And we're going against the Broncos. The Broncos who, you know, helped us out last week and put a beating on the Cowboys. And hopefully they help us out this week and go a little bit soft on us. You know, maybe we get a nice little win, a much needed win this week, because it has not looked good. It has definitely not looked good. So today I am going to have a special guest on today. I'm going to have Eric Dalala from the Denver Broncos.com, and he's their team reporter. So he definitely was over here giving us some good insight. So we're going to go through that. You know how I do. I like to go a little bit in, talk a little bit, and then we'll go through some comments, and then we'll get to the interview. But first thing I really want to talk about is the obvious, what just happened a couple hours ago. Is about Jordan Howard. Now, obviously, I was saying earlier on my Twitter, you can follow me at PhillyTP. I was saying that the Eagles only could protect him or only call him up from the practice squad twice this season. They obviously used those 2 times, the last being last game, and they had to make a decision. So they did make their decision, and their decision was to bring him to the active squad. So now that begs the question, who's going to be the odd man out? We have 4 running backs now, if Miles Sanders can come back fairly soon. And you start thinking to yourself, what are you expecting out of this running back core? Are you now looking at your running back core as kind of a by committee approach, which is fine? I think that's cool. And if you are, where does that leave Miles Sanders? Is he the lead dog in that pack? Is he a guy that's expendable because you don't necessarily need a lead dog in that pack? It becomes very interesting. It becomes very worrisome for me, to be honest, because I feel like giving these guys too many options is not a good thing right now. They're all very young as a coaching staff, and this front office has proven that they do not make the best choices under duress sometimes. So I'm hoping that this bodes well for the Eagles, but it is the Eagles, so we'll see what happens. I also want to talk about it was basically the Broncos. I want to talk a little bit about the Broncos before we do get into the interview, because I was talking to Eric, and some things that he popped up that it kind of made me open my eyes, right? So obviously we saw this defense out there do very well against a great offense, one of the best in the leagues in Dallas Cowboys. But you look at that defense, and it kind of makes me feel like they just got up for that game. But I could be wrong. They have a lot of young guys out there, you know, and he'll go more in depth on that. But you also look at the offense for them. They have a guy in Teddy Bridgewater, and I've said this from the jump from this season, that I feel like this defense is playing well against quarterbacks that shouldn't be killing them. And I feel like Teddy Bridgewater, you know, kind of falls under that category, that he's a guy that shouldn't be necessarily going crazy on you. If he does, you got some issues. I'm more worried about their running game. I think this will be a good test for our running game. But we'll get into that, and we'll get into other things. Y'all let me know what y'all want to talk about in the comments. We'll go for a little bit. And then, like I said, I will throw on the interview. But what's going on, Jinx Wolf? He says, I love your live stream. I appreciate you. What's going on, Ryan Rowe? What's going on, Bobby? Eagles has landed in the building. You said we need a win. Yeah, we definitely need a win. And I think it goes for our coaches. It goes for our team. I think everybody needs this win right now. It's been very tough of a year. It's been a very tough year, right? And if you have, I said this last week, and at least they showed up, right? If you have any inclination of trying to make the playoffs, this is a must-win game. You know, last week, in my opinion, kind of was as well, but you didn't win it. At least you showed up. You showed you can fight. This is a team that I think is a little bit more beatable than the Chargers. They're not as good as the Chargers. Chargers have, you know, they slipped for a couple weeks, and they came back and looked way better than they always have. So we'll see what happens. What's going on, Eagles as Lane? He says Sanders, Howard, Gainwell, and Scott. You know, are they going to carry 4 guys? That's what it comes down to. It'll be very interesting to see what they do against Denver. I think this is a game that you can definitely run on these guys. I mean, it is what it is. So I'm looking for that to happen, man. What's going on, Philly girl? Another thing, I'm looking for this defensive line to start eating again. I think that Jonathan Gannon, at some point, we were bashing Nick Sirianni for the first 6-7 weeks about his commitment to the run, right? We were bashing him for a while, and then he finally figured it out. Maybe, hopefully, he has. It's two games in a row. Starting to cross my fingers. Hopefully, he got it figured out. But you look at it now, and it's like, hopefully, Jonathan Gannon can figure it out. And it sucks that it took him this long, or will take him this long to figure it out. But you have to figure out what's best for your team right now. And right now, what we're doing is just not best for our team. It's just making us look bad. It really is. It's making us look bad. And I think it was Lord Brunson that brought it up today in his live, saying that the cornerbacks playing so far off are affecting the defensive line. And that was a perfect take, because it's true. You know what I'm saying? It's very true that the defensive line is getting affected by the ability of a quarterback to just get the ball out in under 2 seconds to a wide open guy. That takes out the hunger of your defense. Now they don't know whether to go downfield, or they don't know whether to just try and put their hands up and block a ball. So it's unfair to everybody on that field when you're putting them in bad positions like that. TJ says 2 back-to-back games that we have competent offense. I see improvement. I definitely do too. I think it's all about consistency. I've said it with Jalen Hurts, and I'll say it with the coaching staff as well. It's not what you can do once or twice. It's what you can do consistently. That's what you get paid for in this league, in my opinion. You don't get, paid for off plays or whatever, just random plays that you can make, but you get paid for consistency. What's going on, Show Nuff? Oh, no, that's not Show Nuff. That's Frank Tink. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. 30-16, you wildin'. Ain't no 30-16. I just think its coaching staff is just stubborn. Nick's trying to turn around the offense. We just waiting for Gannon to come along. I just want improvement. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've been dealing with this. Obviously, it's like at a historic low on the defensive side now. And for a while, it was historically bad on the offense as well. But he did turn it around. But you look at this defense, and we've always had this issue. I don't know why. And we go back to Schwartz. You can even go back to Juan Castillo. It was just always, since we lost Jimmy Johnson, outside of like 1 year with Jim Schwartz, we just haven't had a defensive coordinator that's been able to get the dog out of this team. Like, we just don't look like the same hungry team we used to, and I don't know. It starts with the defensive line, right? It starts with the defensive line, and then it just trickles down. Everything else just starts to deteriorate. Your lack of investment at the linebacker position, your lack of investment, or at least quality investments at the cornerback position, they're haunting us now. You know what I'm saying? And we gave out so many thank you contracts after that Super Bowl. It just made no sense. The cap space that we are in right now makes zero sense. It makes zero sense because most of these players now aren't even on the team. Why give them contracts that aren't expendable? Like, it just, look at Fletcher Cox's contract. Fletcher Cox, I'm glad he's still on the team, don't get me wrong, but you look at his contract, it makes him damn near inexpendable. You can't get rid of that sometimes. And we were trying to, and it would have looked bad, to be honest. You're giving up damn near $20 million in dead cap space for a second round pick, maybe, you know what I'm saying? And a bad second round pick at that. If we're getting the Arizona Cardinals, who are looking to try and make a Super Bowl run, is that really a good second round pick? That's more like a third round pick. So I don't know. It's frustrating that all these decisions have just like compounded at this point. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's tough to explain. It really is tough to explain. And I know that this coaching staff is trash. And that's, I guess, where it has to circle back. This coaching staff has not proven to be worth their marbles. But I feel like it's more of an organizational thing. I feel like the organization just has their hand in this too much, to be honest. That's really where I'm at right now. So I really don't know if it's something that's going to be able to be changed with just a simple coaching staff. What's going on, TGA? He says we hire soft-minded coaches, can't have big personalities. I agree 100%. I think that and I said, that's the organizational thing. That's why I'm saying it's kind of like an organizational thing. If you look at the organization, they don't want a guy that is going to really challenge them, right? They don't want somebody that's going to come in there and be like, that just doesn't make sense, we should do it like this. And they've proven that time and time again. I feel like once Doug Peterson, he stopped giving out ice cream and started getting real, I think things started getting a little bit, shaky in the front office. They were a little bit like, okay, this dude might try and actually be somebody out here. And that's just a terrible way to look at stuff. That's a terrible way to run your organization. And it's haunting us now. It's catching up to us. So there's not much you can say, or there's not much you can do if you're not going to change that organizational philosophy. That's really what it comes down to for me. TJ says, we just don't draft enforcers like we used to. We need to try and go outside the box again. I'm so sick of good character guys start drafting these goons with off-field issues. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, you gotta take some chances. You gotta take some chances. I get what you're saying. I know you're joking a little bit, but it's the truth too. Like, you're right. We have to go outside the box a little bit. DK Metcalf, I think, is a perfect example. I think you can go down the list of players that you look at and you're like, why not just take the chance there? You know what I'm saying? You take chances on random people. Like, what was Holmes' name? Marcus. What was Holmes' name? I try to forget. Marcus Smith. You take chances on a guy like that because he's athletic, but you won't take a chance on a guy like DK Metcalf that goes into freaking interviews with his shirt off and flexing on the owner. Like, come on, man. Like, sometimes that's the type of vibe you need. That's the type of juice that some of these young cats can bring, and you don't bring that in. You bring in a bunch of random dudes that ain't that good. I don't know. Yeah, I feel you. What's going on, Ryan? He says defense coordinator can't make a challenge to get enough formula. He needs to figure something out. He needs to change it up. He needs to change it up and figure something out that's going to work. Because if the definition of insanity, like I've said before, like we've said before, I'm saying it like it's my quote, is trying to do the same thing and expecting different results. It's just not going to happen. This is who we are when you do what you're doing. It just is what it is. You're getting out of this defense what you're putting into it, and what you're putting into it isn't good enough. So, we all know that we have talent there. Am I saying we're a world-class defense? No. But I'm saying we definitely are lacking at areas that we shouldn't be lacking at. If you would have told me our cornerbacks weren't that great, and Darius Slay was okay, but everybody else wasn't that great, I would probably believe you more so than you telling me that our defensive line is just not doing anything. That's on the front office to me. I'm sorry. We need a couple of guys who may Vontaze avenge us, Bieber. Yeah, hey, we doing it for us. We ain't doing it for y'all. But we are going to get into this interview, man. Like I said, I was able to get my guy, Eric Diala. I can't talk today. Y'all know how it is. But we were able to get my guy, Eric, on here from the DenverBroncos.com and just talk about this upcoming game. I was able to ask him about the whole Von Miller situation and just things going on out there with his quarterback and his head coach. So let's get into that right now, man. What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and this is Philly the podcast. So today I have a very special guest with me today. I have Eric Diala from the Denver Broncos himself. How's it going, Eric? Thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. It's good. Excited to have you guys out here this weekend for a big game.
Definitely. I wish the excitement was mutual. We've had a rough season, but I know you guys are looking good. So let's start off with last week. First off, we got to thank you, right? The Eagles are very happy you guys gave Dallas that loss. But looking up into this season, right? We're going into week 10, I believe it is now. How are you feeling about your Denver Broncos thus far?
I mean, I think if you told Broncos fans that going into the bye, you'd have a chance to get to 6-4, and you don't want to overlook anybody, but Philly is sitting there at 3-6, and the Broncos, I think, expect to win this football game. You would have taken it. It just kind of happened in a weird way where you won your first 3, then you lost 4 in a row, including one to the Ravens where it was never really close, one of the Raiders where it was never really close, a bad Pittsburgh team that was 1-3 at the time beats you, and then you go to Cleveland and you play Case Keenum, who of course used to start for the Broncos, and he beats you. And after that Cleveland game on Thursday night, week 7, the sky's kind of falling. The newspapers are calling for Vic Fangio to be fired. George Payton and Vic, they stayed the course. And then you get a win against the Cowboys that I don't think anybody expected, me included.
Definitely. Now, you look at your quarterback situation. Obviously, we have our own situation going on, but you guys have a veteran back there in your quarterback room. So you got Teddy B back there, and he's been doing very well for you. He's been doing very well, especially these last couple games. How are you feeling about Teddy Bridgewater? Is he somebody that you think can kind of take this team to the next level and maybe a future quarterback as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if he's going to be the future of this team just because they've been looking for that guy for 5 years, still haven't found him. But Teddy's definitely been playing the best of anybody since Peyton Manning. I think he ranks 10th in the NFL in quarterback rating. His turnovers are way down. I was looking this up today. The Broncos this year have turned the ball over 10 times. Last year at this point in the season, they turned the ball over like 23 or 24.
Wow.
They were second to last in the league in turnover margin, and that just killed him. And this year, what Teddy's doing well is he's taking the throws that are there for him. He's not turning the ball over. He's making smart choices, but then he's still making some big plays from time to time. He hit Tim Patrick, one of our wide receivers, for a 44-yard touchdown against the Cowboys against Diggs last week. And so he can make those plays, but he's just a smart player who's not going to kill you. He's not going to let the game get away from you. And the Broncos, with as good as their running game and defense can be, that's a recipe for success.
Definitely. Now, the Eagles, I will say on our side, we have been chasing the turnovers for quite a while. It's been a couple years. This year, it's been a little bit better, but I don't think we challenge you much right there. Now, I do want to keep on your offense a little bit. You guys pounded the rock against Dallas. I think it was 38 rushing attempts from your running backs last game. You guys did very well on the ground. Is that something that you look to for the Denver Broncos to continue? Is that kind of their identity, or was that just kind of a game plan going into Dallas?
I mean, I think it should be their identity moving forward. They spent a lot of money to sign Melvin Gordon a couple of years ago. They drafted Javonte Williams in the second round, traded up to get him. He's up for Rookie of the Week. He's a really impressive player that's hard to bring down without multiple guys around the football. And then your offensive line, when healthy, and granted, that's probably the biggest question mark for this game, is there's 3 offensive line starters that could be out. So what's going to happen there? But when healthy, they can run the ball well. That takes the pressure off Teddy Bridgewater, opens up some of that play action. That should be the strategy. The Broncos haven't always been able to get the run game going. And then kind of the other issue is that there's been times, I think it was 4 straight games in the middle of the season, the Broncos gave up an opening drive touchdown. And so they're coming out in these games and they're down 7-0, they're down 10-0. And it's hard to stick with the run when you're facing a deficit that early in the game and you're kind of chasing points right off the bat. And so the Broncos can kind of stay ahead of things. I think they'd like to run the ball a lot. 25 to 30 throws for Teddy, maybe even the 20 to 25 range is probably where they want it. They don't want him up in the 35 to 40, 45. I mean, I know I was pulling for the Eagles last week to get one on the Chargers and help the Broncos out a little bit, but I don't think Teddy's going to go out and throw it 38 times or whatever Justin Herbert did. That's not the recipe for success for the Broncos.
Yeah, and it's funny because I bring that up because honestly, the beginning of the season, we were very bad at stopping the run, and then it kind of switched. So lately, we have been giving up a lot of passing yards, obviously over 80% completion percentage. So I think like the past 2 or 3 quarterbacks, which is insane. But, we've kind of switched that gear. So hopefully maybe now we know how to stop the run. And hearing that the offensive linemen are hurt a little bit, that might play into our favor because obviously we have some dogs on that defensive line. So that's actually really important for our fans to hear. Now I do want to stay on your offense just a little bit longer. You did bring up Patrick, your wide receiver. He kept on jumping out at me. It seemed like he was all over the place against the Cowboys. Can you talk to us a little bit about this wide receiving core? Because you do have another guy, KJ Hamler. I don't know if he's still up and going, but he's from Penn State, so I'm a big fan, and I'm sure he's going to come out and kill us and make me eat my words. But it is what it is. But can you talk to me a little bit about this wide receiving core?
Yeah, you'll get a break from KJ this weekend. He tore his ACL back in the early part of the season, so he's done for the year. But Tim Patrick is kind of the unexpected guy. He was an undrafted player. He bounced around from some different teams, kind of caught on with Denver a couple years ago as a special teams guy, and he leads the team in touchdowns right now. So he's been really impressive. It'll be interesting to see, do they extend him? They've got another guy, Cortland Sutton, who was a second-round pick back in 2018. He made the Pro Bowl in 2019 before tearing his ACL last year, and he's kind of back to his normal self. So both those guys are free agents this year. I think a lot of the talk in Denver is, can you keep both those guys somewhere? But the most dangerous guy in my mind is Jerry Judy from Alabama, the first-round pick from a season ago. He missed, I think, about 6 games with a high ankle sprain, came back against Washington in Week 8, and then last week in Dallas just made some really impressive catches. They put him in motion a lot before the snap. He'll fake toward the backfield and back out outside the hashes, and it just puts some strain on the defense. And so it'll be interesting to see how they use him. But Judy gets open right away. His route running is incredible, and he's a guy that I think had he been healthy for the whole year, people would have been talking about as a Pro Bowler. So I'm interested to see what he does here over the final few weeks of the year.
Definitely. Well, prayers up to KJ Hamler. I did not know that. I'm glad that I do now. But now let's swing on over to the defense. Obviously, you lost not just the face of your defense, but basically the face of your team in a lot of ways, right? I'm sure people still walk by posters of him going through the halls and everything. So, but your defense on the other side was able to answer the call, I should say. Excuse me. They went out there and put on a very good showing against a very good offense. Right? Probably top 3 in this league. So how were they able to do that? What changes did they make, if any, or was this just kind of the players coming up to the occasion?
I think it was a little bit of everything. Losing Von Miller, it hurt. I mean, I think people were upset around the facility. Difficult to see him go. Super Bowl 50 MVP. He's been here for 11 seasons. I mean, like you said, the face of the franchise. But when you look at it, the first 3 weeks of the year, he was really good. I think 4 sacks, AFC Defensive Player of the Month, and then just half a sack over the next 3 or 4 games. And I think what you saw, I don't know if it was age or what it was, or the fact that the Broncos were playing from behind, he just wasn't having the same impact. And so it may sound crazy, but certainly to Broncos fans, maybe a little bit to Eagles fans too, but Malik Reed, an undrafted guy who came in, Jonathan Cooper, a 7th-round pick from Ohio State, those guys have actually been more effective the last couple of weeks rushing the passer than Vaughn was when he was still here over those last couple of weeks. And so there really hasn't been that much of a drop-off in terms of pass rush production. Bradley Chubb, he's the first-round pick from a few years ago. Don't think it's likely he's back for this week, so it'll be Malik Reed, it'll be Jonathan Cooper. Cooper sacked Dak Prescott twice. Malik Reed had a couple sacks and a forced fumble against Taylor Heineke in Washington the week before, but those guys have been important. And then you talked about a few things in terms of the defensive performance. I think guys were fired up. They were like, hey, we've got a chance to go out and show people that we're still a good team. There was the fact that Dallas did make some mistakes. I mean, there were some drop passes from Amari Cooper. Dak was off target a little bit. That definitely helped the Broncos. And then I do think that some of these young guys are excited for their opportunity. They're able to take a step forward. And so it was a big combination, but they've played well the last 2 weeks without Vaughn, and it'll be interesting to see how long they can keep it going.
Definitely not. And like you said, it's a young team. They look pretty fast when I was watching them. It looks like a fun defense, something that can definitely grow. But from your perspective, maybe this is asking a little bit too much of the secret sauce here. But if you're looking at your defense as, the Eagles offensive coordinator, what are some things that you think you guys are weak at, or some areas of weakness that we can attack?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few weeks ago I would have said the inside linebacker spot because both the starters were out for the season. Cleveland ran for, I think, like almost 200 yards on the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. But George Payton, the GM, he went out and he traded for Kenny Young, who was a starting inside linebacker for the Rams, and that guy has been really good. I mean, he might be playing better than anybody on the Broncos defense right now. So that kind of goes out the window, and I think the Broncos should be prepared to stop the run. If I were the Eagles, I would challenge the Broncos deep just because they've been better at covering that the last few weeks. But early in the season, there are a lot of busted coverages. Guys were getting beat one-on-one. Patrick Surtain, the 9th overall pick from Alabama. I think you're getting a theme here. The Broncos have liked guys from Bama the last couple of years for good reason. I know you guys have a good Bama player.
Yeah, we're joining the club. We're joining the club.
Exactly. Kyle Fuller, he's a guy that came over from Chicago. He struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year. He'll have to start likely if Pat Surtain can't go. And then Ronald Darby, who came over from Washington, so I'm sure you guys know him well. He's had some ups and downs, but has finally settled in a little bit after coming back from a hamstring injury. But yeah, I think that's maybe the sauce there, if you will, is that if Philly can test the Broncos deep, maybe get a couple shots over the top, steal a score or something like that, or a big play, that could be a way to swing the game in their favor. Because I think the way the Broncos defense is playing right now, it's going to be hard to string together 10, 11, 12 play drives on them.
Definitely. Now, you did bring up Ronald Darby. He is a former Philadelphia Eagle as well. So
right,
we know him intimately. We know a lot about him. Unfortunately, we know the good and bad, so I know a lot of people are probably going to cringe when you say that because they think every time we lose a Philadelphia Eagle player, they go on to be all-stars wherever they go. But it's good to hear that he's found a home. So also I do want to ask, just basically, like, are there any three key or not even three, but just key matchups that you're looking on offensively or defensively that you want your team to take advantage of?
I mean, and that's a good question. I mean, I think just Hurts is kind of this unknown still, right? He's still early in his career. The way that they do some of the stuff with the run game, I think, can be challenging. The Broncos did struggle a little bit early in the year when they played the Ravens. So I know it's not exactly the same, but maybe a few similarities there that are kind of concerning. You mentioned your interior rushers. I think that'll be something to watch. The Broncos center, Lloyd Cushenberry, he's played okay, but he sometimes can get pushed around a little bit by some more dominant interior rushers. So Fletcher Cox, I believe, is still there. Is that correct? Is he healthy and playing? I mean, he's a guy that the Broncos are definitely going to have to watch out for. And then, I think there's just this – it's not a matchup of one guy, but the Broncos just have to come out and make sure that they don't fall flat after a big win against Dallas. I think there were some guys puffing their chests out on Monday and Tuesday, and for good reason. They won a big game. They beat a good team. They proved themselves. But that win doesn't mean anything if you go out and you lose this weekend and go right back to 5-5. And all of a sudden it's like, well, this big win over the Cowboys that helped you get back in the playoff race doesn't mean anything if you can't go out and beat the Eagles.
Definitely. And I do want to ask you, I got a couple more questions. I do want to ask you, because we're going through a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach, right? Something you guys have dealt with as well. And I kind of want to ask you, as a reporter reporting for your team, what is it that you look at from these coaches and these rookie quarterbacks? Because they kind of go hand in hand. What are kind of I don't know if you can really tell the future on them, but like, what are some telltale signs of a good coach or a good quarterback in your opinion?
I mean, I'll start with the quarterback. I think there's two things I look for. One, off the field, is just maturity. How does the guy handle himself on the podium during press conferences after a loss, after a win, when he's had a bad preseason game, because these rookies aren't necessarily coming out and starting, or any young quarterback. They're not starting every game, but how do they handle themselves in those moments? And especially because I'm in the building with the team, I see a little bit more than maybe a typical reporter. And so, how are those guys acting in the cafeteria? Are they there all the time? Are they, are they leaving early? What's kind of their whole process? So that's the off the field thing for quarterbacks. And then on the field, they're going to make mistakes, but are they correctable mistakes? And are there enough flashes that you can see that you're like, man, this guy really could be something? I mean, I was watching Justin Fields last night on Monday Night Football, and there were a lot of people that thought the Broncos should have taken Justin Fields, but you saw him make some throws at the end of the game, and you're like, man, not a lot of people can make that throw. He was kind of correcting some mistakes as they went along that he had made earlier in the game. That's the stuff to me that stands out. It's hard to say. I mean, if it were easy, everybody would find one, but you can tell pretty quickly, I think, who's going to work out and who's not based on those sorts of things. And then as far as a head coach, it just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, does Sirianni call the plays, I assume, out there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he does.
He does. So, I mean, one, are you good in those in that play calling role? So in Denver, Vic Fangio, very good defensive play caller. That's what the Broncos really liked. He was an expert in that field. That's one thing. Are you good at the game management stuff, or are you willing to learn or kind of accept those mistakes? And then how do you keep the team together when things aren't going well? Broncos lost 4 games in a row, and then I think what's most impressed me is that Vic Fangio found a way that these guys weren't like, well, we're done, we're mailing it in. They've won 2 in a row now with a chance to get to 3 in a row going into the bye and get healthy and gear up for the stretch run. So those are just a few things. I mean, I'm no expert, but a couple of things I might judge it by.
Definitely. No, I like to, collect all the data and try and make my best decision. Because like you said, none of us are experts. We're all just giving it our opinion. Now, last question I do want to ask you, obviously, like you said, you guys have a chance to go at 3 wins in a row, get into your bye on a high, right? So what are you thinking? What are you expecting to see from this Denver Broncos team this Sunday? And do you have anybody that you expect to kind of take this game over against the Eagles?
That's interesting. The tight ends for the Broncos have been interesting. They got Noah Fant in the draft a couple of years ago in 2019. Then they picked Albert Okwuegbunam in the 4th round last year. those guys are a mismatch problem. I think I saw the Eagles might struggle a little bit against tight ends, so that's something to potentially watch. And then every time Jerry Judy's out there, the wide receiver I mentioned, he just changes the game. So before he got injured against the Giants, the Broncos were converting 60% of their third downs. When he was out, that dropped all the way to 22%. And then the last 2 games that he's been back above 50%. And so, causation is not, or correlation is not causation, but to me that stands out that when Jerry Judy's on the field, it makes things harder for these defenses. I think the game in general, it wouldn't surprise me if the Broncos came out a little sluggish, but I do think that just the way they're playing, I don't think they're going to let this opportunity slip away. And I would expect by midway through the second half, the Broncos will probably gain control of this game. But I mean, hey, if last week shows you anything, it's that nobody has any idea what's going to happen in any of these games.
Definitely. I can't agree with you anymore of that. And it's going to be a fun game. Listen, I just moved from Colorado. I used to live in Morrison. So I have every inclination of how that altitude would definitely hurt them. You know what I'm saying? It'll be very interesting to see how these Eagles deal with that. But it was a pleasure having you on. This was a lot of fun. Eric, before I do let you go, please let them know where they can find you and just who you are.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me at Eric Delala right there on the screen on Twitter. My work's on denverbroncos.com. Do a podcast, do some video features as well. So, and if anyone wants to engage on Twitter, happy to answer any questions leading up to the game, and just hope it's a good game. I think the Broncos they're gonna challenge Jalen Hurts to beat them. That's my guess.
Definitely. I hope so, because honestly, this is a learning year for the Eagles. So let's learn about our quarterback. I need some good defenses to challenge him, and I need him to step up to the challenge. But like I said, I do appreciate you coming on, man. I do appreciate your time, and I appreciate everybody checking in. Be sure to hit that like, hit the subscribe. Be sure to go follow my guy Eric on Twitter. And other than that, y'all know how it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out of here. Peace. All right, we are off. So shout out to my guy Eric, man. That was a lot of fun to do that interview. We are gonna have Phil Mullaney on probably on Friday, either Friday afternoon or Saturday. So we're gonna have the tandem on. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited for this game, and I know this is what everybody actually waits for in these lives. Coming up to the game is my score prediction and everything, so I can make myself look dumb. But I'm gonna make myself look dumb again today. I think that this is a game that the Eagles are gonna win, man. I got the Eagles winning 32-27. Random numbers, random game. I think it's going to be a random game. Jinx, who's Green Bay? I have no idea. How would be trading the first round picks for more and move down? I wouldn't be surprised if he trades like one of them. I wouldn't be mad at that. And shout out to El Bachado. Philly, what's going on? He says, keep killing it, Joe. Content keeps getting better. I appreciate you. Brandon Jordan in the building. Jeremiah Butler, what's going on, Convert. But yeah, so I'm going to say that the Eagles winning this, man. I'm saying 32-27, and hopefully I can remember that so it don't sound like I'm flip-flopping, but it's going to be around that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying our offense going to come out here, put up some points, and our defense is probably going to get cut up a little bit by Jerry Judy and company, but it is okay. I think we're going to come out with this W. I think it's going to start a nice little run here. You know what I'm saying? I said that the Eagles are going to go 7-4 in their last 11. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to try and keep myself positive. I'm hoping that Jalen Hurts keeps on improving, gives me something to be happy about. But let's see what happens. He says, would you trade Miles Sanders for Kareem Hunt? If they're going to use him, if they're going to use Kareem Hunt, I mean, you know what I mean? Like on paper, probably, yeah, why not? But are they going to use him? They're not using Miles Sanders. So what makes you think they're going to use Kareem Hunt the right way? That's where I'm at right now. But, I mean, on paper, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Rose says Eagles 25-18 Broncos. Okay, I'll take that. I see us winning this game. I really do see us winning this game. I think that this offense is good enough at the run game to keep the ball out of Teddy Bridgewater's hands. So he's going to be looking for big plays, and that's just not who Teddy Bridgewater is. If we can get Teddy Bridgewater to stay within the pocket for an extra second, I do believe that our defensive line can get to him. And if we throw in some blitzes, which it seems like we throw in blitzes when the quarterback's not that great, maybe this is a time we throw in some blitzes. Who knows? Maybe we go out there and blow them out. The one thing that Eric said that I can't agree with more is that he said that you do not know what's going to happen any given Sunday, man. So let's see what happens. Jinx says, if we lose, sorry, but our season's over. Most likely. Most likely. I mean, it is what it is. Like statistically or mathematically, I guess, however you want to put it, we wouldn't be totally out of the race, I guess, because like Sam Bradford's now out for the Panthers for a couple weeks. There was a couple of other teams that lost, important players. So it seems like the NFC is getting kind of weaker by these injuries. So it's not the way you want to win, but who knows? We might be in a situation where that 7th spot isn't that far away. Because right now, I think we're still only one game out. So this season could turn around real quick. But I do think if you lose this game, it's tough sledding. It's definitely tough sledding because you're going to have to go and win out. And then you're going to have to ask for a lot of other things to happen. But who knows? I mean, it's only, we're what, 3-5 right now? It's only 3-6. If we go 11-6, that's a great year. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, you never know. You never know. Sam Bradford, Sam Darnold. Yeah, I had flashbacks, man. I had a flashback. My bad. What's going on, Eagles Realists? I appreciate you catching me on that. I appreciate you. Yeah, but no, I mean, look, this NFC is looking like it's getting weaker by the day, unfortunately, for these players. I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm happy about it, obviously. So we might be stuck in a situation that we were last year where we're like at the end of the season, like, oh, well, if we win and this happens and that happens, we can still make it, which is going to suck. It's going to be annoying to watch and annoying to go through again. But, and it gives these coaches and the coaching staff probably an unnecessarily long leash. Like they don't really deserve these second chances that they're getting, in my opinion. So, I mean, it is what it is. Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon, I'm at the point, to be honest with you, if we fire Howie, I will be happy with that. I said it on Twitter. If we fire Howie and cut J-Jaw, I will consider this a winning season. I will put up a Super Bowl banner saying that we fired Howie. Like in 2020, you know how the Super banners look? That's what I will do for Howie. We fired Howie. Like, I will be that happy about it. So, we'll see what happened. The Bills lost to the Jags. Yeah, any given Sunday, you never know what's going to happen, man. Sometimes it's all about matchups. I've always said this. Stats don't win games, matchups do. If you go out there and match up well against a team, you have a chance to beat them on any given Sunday. So that's how I'm feeling. Like I said, I got the Eagles going out there and winning. And maybe I'm crazy. I know I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to this stuff. I know I get it. I said this before. The closer to the season, the more unrealistic I get. And throughout the season, I'm never going to say we're going to lose. I'll tell you throughout the week that we're going to lose and how we're probably going to lose. But when it comes to me score predicting, I'm always going to predict that my Eagles win. That's just who I am. It is what it is. So I do think it's going to be a good game. But like I said, 32-27. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking in the comments. What score is y'all thinking? But other than that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. I might do a video a little bit later on. I'm not really sure. I might not. I don't really know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how I'm feeling. But other than that, yeah, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace!
Everywhere, this is for you.
Yeah. Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.